Mike Johnson has been stunned into silence. I don't think he's made a public appearance since late July because he is hiding right now as he knows we the people are demanding the Epstein files. We the people want to know about Donald Trump's connections with Epstein. We know that Donald Trump, MAGA Mike Johnson, and this whole MAGA apparatus has been engaged in a massive cover-up. You've made things worse, MAGA Mike. You done messed up, MAGA Mike, because now what we've seen Donald Trump do is aid and abet what appears to be witness tampering as he's moved convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell from her Tallahassee prison, where she was sentenced to over 20 years because she's a convicted sex trafficker. He moved her over to a facility at Camp Bryan, Texas, next to Texas A&M's college campus, where that community's protesting the intrusion of a sex trafficker into their peaceful community, into a minimum security facility. But that was after, of course, Trump's DOJ gave Ghislaine Maxwell what's called use or proffer immunity, queen for a day, for all of these statements that she made to Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche. But MAGA Mike, you know this. And now the House Democrats are saying, we demand the Epstein files. The House Republicans are trying to delay. The MAGA Republicans in the House Oversight Committee, your buddy, MAGA Mike, James Comer delayed Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition, which was supposed to be scheduled for about a week and a half ago. But you're just going to make things worse for yourself. We're not going to forget about having her deposition be taken under oath. We want to see what the hell she said. We want to hear, more importantly, though, rather than her, we want to hear from the victims. You ain't tricking anybody, MAGA Mike and James Comer. You think you were going to have Bill Barr testify for a deposition earlier this week, and you thought that we were not going to ask? Why isn't Alex Acosta being deposed? You know, Donald Trump's buddy, the guy Donald Trump made the labor secretary during Donald Trump's first term. You know, the guy who was the United States attorney during the Bush administration, who gave Epstein the sweetheart non-prosecution agreement that also benefited Ghislaine Maxwell because she's using it in her petition to the Supreme Court requesting certiorari to dismiss her criminal case, saying Trump's guy, Alex Acosta, who you MAGAs think that we're not going to demand that deposition be taken. By the way, he's still in your Bible study group. How godly. He's still in your Bible study group. Yeah, we look at who's in whose Bible study group. We know you're still talking to him. Well, he doesn't get deposed. We want to hear what Alex Acosta has to say, MAGA Mike. But look, MAGA Mike's, I'm just going through the record right here. MAGA Mike spoke on July 21st, 2025, before recess in Congress. MAGA Mike said, we have to give Donald Trump space. That's why you shut down Congress. An entire branch of the American government was shut down so y'all could cover up a sex trafficking pedo ring. You sickos. But here's MAGA Mike says it in his own words. He goes, we needed to give Donald Trump his space to figure out what he needs to do. Listen to him. July 21st, 2025. Play this clip.
So here's what I would say about the Epstein files. There is no daylight between the House Republicans, the House, and the president on maximum transparency. He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released. He's asked the Attorney General to request the grand jury files of the court. All of that is in process right now. My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing. And if further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now because we agree with the president.
Okay. Then the last big speaking engagement for MAGA Mike Johnson was really what? July 28th, 2025, where he's like, we're taking America back. We're bigger. We're stronger than ever. Here's what MAGA Mike said on July 28th, 2025. And other than that, he's been relatively stunned into absolute silence. Here's what he said then. Play this clip.
We're going to grow the House majority for the Republican Party. Lots of reasons for that. You've implied a few of them tonight. But we had a true demographic shift in the 2024 election. Record numbers of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, people who came to the Republican Party who had not traditionally been there in large numbers. numbers. We've now just delivered for them and will continue to do so, so they'll stay with us. And then we have that very favorable election map. As you said, 13 House Democrats sitting in districts that Trump won. They're terrified. We only have 3 House Republicans in districts that Kamala Harris won. Lopsided map, offensive opportunity for us. We're going to go out and take those seats back and grow that majority. So my job's just a little bit easier, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know about that, MAGA Mike, because if that's the case, then why aren't you all out there going into your districts bragging about the budget bill? Right? I mean, wouldn't this be something that you think is a great achievement? Go brag about the budget bill. Let's see what happens at your town halls. Oh, wait a minute. The economic data is fake. This is fake. That's fake. The crowds are fake. Everything's fake. But your dear leader, Donald Trump, is the only one who tells the truth, MAGA Mike. That's what you want us to believe. So, MAGA Mike, and this article from New York Times came out yesterday. Republican bid to help Trump move past Epstein falls flat. Yeah, MAGA Mike, I mean, you can take the photos with Donald Trump and your weirdo crooked thumbs, both of you, with your little dear cult leader over there, but you ain't covering up the Epstein files because we the people demand to know. It's just so interesting, all of the moves they've made to do the cover-up, right? There was the Ghislaine Maxwell DOJ immunity grant. You gave a convicted sex trafficker immunity. We the people demanded release the Epstein files. You basically released a convicted sex trafficker. Whatever's in those files must be horrible because what you did in public with Ghislaine Maxwell is absolutely atrocious. Now she's in the minimum security facility. You gave her a waiver. Trump's DOJ gave her a waiver because sex traffickers ain't allowed at Camp Bryan, the minimum security facility in Texas. So y'all did that. You started taking depositions and demanding a Bill Barr. Why Bill Barr? Bill Clinton, you said his deposition for October. Why? Okay, great. Just release the freaking files. Then there was a subpoena, of course, that the Democrats got the House Oversight Committee to release. Okay, release the files. They were due yesterday. And now you're saying, oh, we may give you some on Friday. Well, we'll dribble it out. No. Just release the files. You said they were on Pam Bondi's desk in February. That's what she said. Okay? You put 1,000, you and Donald Trump, 1,000 FBI and DOJ lawyers to go through it. We now know they went through it to destroy references to Donald Trump, to redact references to Donald Trump, not actually to deal with the victims. What did those 1,000 lawyers do when you removed them from terrorism cases and sex trafficking cases and money laundering cases to redact Donald Trump's name? And now you say that the documents are not ready to be turned over 2 days ago when they should have been turned over. We know what y'all are doing. We know the cover-up that's taking place before our eyes. Oh, and now Dan Bongino, the deputy head of FBI deputy director, he now is being chaperoned by the Missouri Attorney General. This guy, Andrew Bailey, is now the co-deputy director because Dan Bongino is struggling to even show up to work because he promised everybody he was going to release the Epstein files. What a weak man Bongino is. Remember early on in Bongino's tenure, he's like, it's so hard. I got to show up to work at 8 a.m. and I leave at 7 p.m. It's so hard. I mean, you have a job. You have a job, Dan Bongino. But now there's a co-deputy. This White House is such a clown show. Co-deputy director, a guy by the name of, there he is right here, Andrew Bailey, the former Missouri Attorney General. He'll be basically supervising FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, who needs a chaperone now, apparently. But when you go and you look at this guy Bailey's background, can I just give you some, let me just give you some of Bailey's background. One of Bailey's deputies lost his license because of certain meetings. Bailey was the focus of a formal complaint about the behavior of his office after he falsely blamed a Hazelwood School District's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion program for the off-campus assault on a student. He's faced criticism over contributions to his campaign. Bailey recused himself from a gambling lawsuit filed against the Missouri State Highway Patrol after PACs connected to the lobbyist of the company suing the state wrote checks to the committee supporting his campaign. He raised eyebrows after accepting $50,000 in campaign donations from Doe Run, a St. Louis-based company being sued by thousands of Peruvians over allegations of lead smelter poisoning in their mining town in the Andes. Okay, sounds par for the course right here.
My bedroom is my sanctuary. It's a place to recharge and reset, and at the center of it all is my Helix mattress, making every night feel like a retreat into comfort and calm. Now, you guys know I take my sleep very seriously, and switching to a Helix mattress, it's been a total game changer. I've had mine for about 2 years now, and from night one, I could feel the difference. I used to toss and turn and wake up with back pain, but now I sleep through the night, and my Oura Ring confirms it. Deeper, more restful sleep every single night. Helix is backed by experts. They've been awarded by Good Housekeeping, Wired, and Forbes, so you know the science checks out. Now, I actually heard about them from a friend who swore it fixed their sleep, and honestly, I get it now. Partnering with Helix was a no-brainer. My sleep is better, my energy's up, and I'm way more focused during the day. If you're sleeping too hot or dealing with back pain like I was, Helix is the upgrade you need. Go to helixsleep.com/Meidas for 27% off site-wide. And make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know that we sent you. helixsleep.com/Meidas.
And then they call in Bill Barr to do a deposition on Monday. Bill Barr, who covered up for Trump during the Mueller report, said the Mueller report completely clears Donald Trump's name. They brought Bill Barr to do the same thing with the Epstein files. They have very few moves. They just did the repeat. Remember how the Mueller report actually said that Donald Trump likely committed multiple crimes. He just couldn't be prosecuted because Mueller believes sitting presidents couldn't be prosecuted. That was like one of the conclusions of the reports. But Bill Barr came out and said totally cleared in the Mueller report. I remember that. They brought Bill Barr to do the same thing about the Epstein files. But the House Democrats, led by Robert Garcia, who's chairing the Oversight Committee, made it clear. He goes, and to be clear, during his deposition with the committee, Attorney General Barr could not clear Trump of wrongdoing. Chairman Comer should release the full unedited transcript of his interview for the public. Release the Bill Barr transcript. Release it all. Release the transcript. Release the Epstein files. Whatever the hell you did with Ghislaine Maxwell, release those transcripts as well. Everything this regime does is a freaking cover-up. And when data is actually reported, like the economic data, like the jobs report, they fire the head of the person who does the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner. By the way, I had the opportunity to interview the head of the House Oversight Committee. We had an exclusive here on the MeidasTouch Network. Here's Robert Garcia, who heads the Democratic Oversight, who's the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. Here's what he had to say about Bill Barr. Play this clip.
Yeah, I mean, where's the testimony? Even though nobody really asked for Ghislaine Maxwell, who was accused of perjury and is a convicted sex trafficker. No one was like, you know who we really need to hear from right now and make her prison conditions better? Let's release Ghislaine Maxwell, release the files, not release the co-conspirator sex trafficker. But still, even though we know that Trump sent his former criminal defense attorney, who he's now made the number 2 at the DOJ, Todd Blanche, to conduct that, we know that the questions are going to be framed likely in leading ways that do not address the core issues about Trump. They still haven't even turned over that publicly, which, like, what are you doing? We just send randomly the number 2 at the DOJ, help out sex traffickers, and then don't release the things public. It's just wild to me.
Let me add one more thing to that. This is really important. I'm not at liberty to tell you what Bill Barr said about Todd Blanche and the way that he's been arranging these meetings with Ms. Maxwell. What I can say is I want the American public to hear what Bill Barr said in deposition about how he views the Department of Justice, the current Department of Justice's actions and Todd Blanche's actions as it relates to this deal with Ms. Maxwell. The American public should know what was said, and we look forward to getting that information out.
Now, Donald Trump is also, as MAGA Mike goes silent, you're just hearing weird things from Donald Trump now. I mean, what else is new? But Donald Trump's like, I'm worried that I'm not going to go to heaven. I'm on the bottom of the totem pole to go to heaven. I'm trying to get to heaven. Dude, what are you talking about? You're a sicko. You're found liable for sexual assault. You're Epstein's bud. Heaven? Here, play this clip.
You know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
This is real, folks. This is what they're trying to distract us with. Then you have Caroline Leavitt, Trump's chief propagandist. They're like, yes, he's spiritual. He's trying. Notice how they always go to like God when they're trying to cover up their most depraved acts. By the way, that's why Alex Acosta, the guy who did the non-prosecution agreement, he's on the Bible study group now with Pam Bondi. Seemed to have just joined it a few months ago. Wink, wink, wink. We're not stupid. We know what you're doing, and you're doing it in the Bible study group. Here's what Caroline Leavitt said. Play this clip.
I know the president said on Fox News this morning that he's partially seeking peace in order to get to heaven. Was he joking, or is there spiritual motivation behind his peace deals here?
I think the president was serious. I think the president wants to get to heaven, as I hope we all do in this room as well.
And here's the lawyer for the Epstein victim saying, we're not going away. We demand transparency. Here, play this clip.
What I see and what I know many victims of the Epstein-Maxwell abuse have seen for nearly 2 decades now is a continuation of a massive government-sponsored cover-up. This is not accountability. This is not transparency. What the victims have received repeatedly is deception, delay, and diversion. And this is one more example of that unfortunate re-victimization of the over 100 children who suffered abuse at the hands of Epstein and Maxwell.
And here's what Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett says. Here, play this clip.
I mean, transparency is what the people are asking for. And anything that it seems like you are trying to filter out will only bring about more questions and concerns. I think right now the president knows that he really got himself into a pickle. This is something that he campaigned on, and ultimately is something that he didn't deliver on, which frankly, that is what Trump is known for doing. But for whatever reason, this has been one of those sticking points for his base, and he has tried to distract and destroy communities, as you're talking about D.C., in order to get people to focus on something other than the Epstein files. But the people are zoned in and wanting to know what is in them.
Just take a look right here one more time. This is the subpoena for the DOJ Epstein files that were due on Monday, or yesterday rather, or due on Tuesday, that were not turned over. Horrific. They have not turned that over. And then here was Donald Trump. This was like one of the last times we heard from MAGA Mike, but here's what Donald Trump had to say. And then MAGA Mike basically went silent after this. Here, play this clip.
You have not been briefed on the Epstein files, or your name has not appeared in the Epstein files. But doesn't the AG have to tell you if your name is...
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey, they were run by Garland, they were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the auto pen. Those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. Like, as an example, Christopher Steele, a person you know well, happens to be from your country. But Christopher Steele, as an example, wrote a book, a dossier. We call it the fake news dossier. And the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They can put things in the file that are fake.
There you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, but run away, MAGA Mike. Run away, MAGA Mike. Shoo. Little weak, pathetic person, MAGA Mike. Jeez. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.